Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys, peep game. All right, man. I just recently saw the interview with Michael Jordan. Real candid, real good interview with Michael Jordan. You know, Michael Jordan, you can tell that he's the owner now because there were some, parts of the interview where he spoke as an owner versus speaking as a former player, which I get it. He's the owner. So your dialogue and your language is a little different, and your thought process is a little different than what it was when you was actually a player. So I get it. No big deal with Michael Jordan. But he said some interesting stuff. He was talking about the whole college to the NBA, the whole high school to the NBA. Look, I agree with Michael Jordan to a certain aspect, but my thing has always been, if you want to go, you should be able to go. But they have an age limit. They have an age limit, I think, of 19 or 20. I can't remember what it is. But, my thing is, if a dude says, hey, I'm ready to go play professionally, let me go to the NBA right now. But you have this thing, you have to wait. But then you have people that sit up there and just say, oh man, people ain't ready to play in the NBA and all that kind of stuff. To a certain degree, that could be true. Everybody ain't gonna be LeBron James, Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant. Now, to be honest, LeBron James was a dude, he kind of came out the gate, made an impact. Kobe Bryant, it took him like about, I think, by the time Kobe Bryant's third season came around, Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant. Because keep in mind, Kobe Bryant for a little while came off the bench. He played a little small forward sometimes, being like 6'6.5". So Kobe, it took a couple of years, but at the end of the day, the overall results was Kobe became arguably a top 5, player in history. At least top 10. Then Michael Jordan talked about the LeBron James thing. Do he think he better than LeBron James? And Michael Jordan said, well, I understand if 20 years from now people say that LeBron is better than me, because you're looking at a different audience and that kind of stuff. So, of course, people probably is going to say LeBron James was the greatest. Like, 20 years from now, we going to be like, 40 years removed from Michael Jordan. We almost 40 years removed from Michael Jordan now. Michael Jordan made his NBA debut like almost 36 years ago. Well, actually, he did make his debut like 36 years ago. Pretty much. So, we gonna be like pretty much 60 years removed from Michael Jordan almost in 20 years. So then you're gonna have LeBron James. So you're going to have all the highlights of LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. At the end of the day, Michael Jordan, I'm not going to say he's going to be a distant memory because they got too much highlight reels of him and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people are going to possibly be talking about the LeBron James of the world, even the KDs, because I think KD is an all-time great. I know KD sometimes have shunned the media and fell out of favor with the media, but it's going to be a lot of different people who we going to be talking about 20 years from now. If I'm still around, I could at least say that I had, the pleasure of watching LeBron and Michael Jordan play, and I saw glimpses of Kareem. So, you know what I'm saying? I could truly say, hey, I got to see both of them. Because LeBron James probably is going to be in that GOAT discussion. Whether we like it or not, whether we believe it, there are going to be people that's going to have him in that discussion. So, I understood what Michael Jordan was saying. Now, he talked about another subject that I said myself that seems to be one of the biggest problems that we ask about the NBA. Are there too many teams? There's 32 professional NBA teams. Should we, You know what I'm saying? Should we get rid of like 2, maybe even 4? Should it be 28 teams? Because I don't know if you guys heard, the NFL is talking about adding 2 more teams. Now that's crazy. And one of those teams may be in Oakland, which I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, the NFL is thinking about going to 34 teams. Instead of, and then extending the playoffs. And then we already know in the next couple of years, they go into a 17-game schedule, which eventually is going to be 18. So I think within the next 2 years, they're going to go to a 17-game schedule, which they should just play 18. But yeah, so that's where they're going to be able to squeeze in those extra 2 teams. Where in the NFL, like I said, the NFL just make so much money. But the thing is, the NBA has failed where the NFL has succeeded. They know how to market small market teams to the public, where this has been a long time problem with the NBA. And I think the NBA, they just don't want to accept it. Because I've talked about this on several occasions. I've talked about how the NBA and the next collective bargaining agreement, they may have to give smaller market teams a bigger salary cap. And the NBA may have to offer to pitch in to help pay the salaries of some of these stars to get them to stay in these small markets. Because at the end of the day, this is just fact. Everybody can't go play in Chicago. Everybody can't go play in Los Angeles. Everybody can't come play in the Bay. I know it's different playing in somewhere like Portland versus, Chicago, a big city, or New York. But then again, New York, the way the ownership has sunk the Knicks into the ground, you would think people would rush to go play for the Knicks, but people hate the ownership so bad to where they don't even want to go play in New York. But that's one of the biggest problems that the NBA has suffered from, and they have ran from it, and they don't want to address it. It's how to get players to stay in these small markets. Where, as I said before, I believe in free agency to the fullest. But I do think, like I said, they do need to come up with a system to where they can negotiate with the players, the union, the owners, etc., etc. The NBA got a shitload of money. Like I said, they could extend the salary cap for smaller market teams, which they should. And then they also could offer to pay additional salaries, let's just say, an extra $1 million to a guy yearly if he decides to stay and play in a small market. You have to put those kind of incentive in these contracts. And they need to have somebody go by like media markets. They need to have researchers go by media markets, etc. How big the city is, have some real statistics did. Like, let's just say we'll do a study in Dallas. You start, Dallas, Charlotte versus other places, the Bay Area versus the media market, the population, just everything. Tourists, how many people per year visit these places, and then you have like what you would call a totem pole. More than likely, New York and LA will be top two. Then probably followed by Chicago, then maybe Miami, and that's how you do it. And that's how you determine, what's a small market team of, for real. But then we know if it won't be the owners, it might be the league itself. Because at the end of the day, they part of the problem because they want certain teams to go to the finals every year. Like I said, they made a big mistake with that. So, it is what it is. But anyway, let me get back to Michael Jordan. Some of the other stuff he said was talking about agents, that agents are not truly looking out for their clients. They're not educating them about, finances and all that kind of stuff. He's saying basically the agents care about the agents. Well, here's the thing. An agent is supposed to do what's best for his client. Now, that's where he was speaking as a owner, where he's saying that now taking care of their clients, where basically they're telling them to do this and do that. Now, we already know that there's this thing that's been going on with Rich Paul, that a lot of people been hating on him. Whether it might be some people that's not represented by him or other agents, hollering about Rich Paul this, Rich Paul that. Because at the end of the day, they don't like what Rich Paul represents, which is him being a black man, and basically he's gaining all this power. He's gaining a lot of power being an agent. Now, keep in mind, they tried to create this little roadblock about some kind of degree that you needed to have in order to practice being an agent that Rich Paul didn't have. And then people clearly saw what it was. And then they said, okay, nice try, NBA, because all the other agents was complaining about him because, once again, they don't like to see a black man in charge, exercising his alpha male abilities. So they tried to put some stipulations in place, some roadblocks in place. So at the end of the day, as far as the agent go, that's his job. He gonna do what's best for the client and not what's best for the team. Michael Jordan was speaking as a frustrated owner because, let's just face the fact, in Charlotte, it's hard to get people to play in places like Charlotte. I've never been to Charlotte. I heard it's a beautiful city. And he was basically saying that the first ownership was pillars of the community and they did stuff for the community. And he said when Bob Johnson owned the team, he really didn't know how to be just an owner. He went just from being, the name as the owner instead of actually participating and doing things for the community. And that's basically why they fell out of favor with the fans in Charlotte. Because Charlotte led the league in attendance for 10 years straight. Now, that first arena that they played in held 24,000, which was an exceptionally big arena for a basketball arena. It held 24,000 people, and they were sold out. So the first ownership group probably made a lot of money. And then keep in mind, they ended up moving to New Orleans and became which went on to become the Pelicans. And then basically they left that name. And then keep in mind, Charlotte was a expansion team that became the Bobcats. Bob Johnson named them the Bobcats. And he ended up eventually selling the team to, Michael Jordan and his ownership group. So, like I said, when you look at some of the things that's just wrong with the NBA, it's a lot of things that can be fixed. But I think the biggest thing is the whole college, high school situation. And he said that they need to find some common ground. I've said this, I stand by this. Whether you think these guys are ready to go to the NBA, okay, if you think, okay, they're not ready to play in the NBA, let them enter the NBA as at age 18. You could say you can enter the league, you know what I'm saying? You can enter the draft at age 18, but you can't officially come on the court till you like 19 and a half, something like that. You can either sit out a year and just practice, you know, just keep yourself in shape, or you go overseas and play 1 year, or, you know, you could do a prep somewhere. But at the end of the day, you should be able to go to the league whenever you want to. Because as I said before, at age 18, you old enough to sign up and enlist in the military, and they'll train you for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They will send you overseas. They will put a automatic weapon in your hands and tell you kill if you need to kill. So if you are old enough to train yourself to fight in combat, then why can't you earn a living? There's a lot of things wrong with the collegiate system, from the rules they have in place, from, you know, the players being exploited. It's just a lot of things wrong with the collegiate system that need to be fixed, that should have been fixed. And like I said, that free education stuff, you can save that, because ain't nobody buying that no more. Nobody buying that no more. So it's just so many things that can be fixed. But the NBA, like I said, this is where they have failed miserably versus the NFL. It don't matter where a team plays. If they go to the Super Bowl, they can draw ratings. Where in the NBA, you have a certain team that they want to see in the finals. If you ain't playing in Miami, or Los Angeles, you know, then they don't want you to go to the finals. And the only reason why people were watching the Cavaliers is because it was LeBron James. Now, people are talking about the ratings for the NBA was terrible. Well, what do you think the ratings are for Major League Baseball? The NFL is just going to be the NFL. Whoever, say what you want to say about the NFL, and I have a lot of issues with the NFL. But as far as marketing goes, they have the best strategic marketing team out of all 4 major sports, from the NHL to MLB to the NBA. That's fact. But yeah, Michael Jordan said some real stuff. And like I said, I do understand why 20 years from now, LeBron James may be considered the overall GOAT. Look, right now he's number 3 in all-time scoring. Like I said, if he plays 2 or 3 more years, he can become the all-time lead scorer. You got to ask yourself, once again, do LeBron James want to do that? I think LeBron James wants to try to. I think if LeBron can win 2 more championships, okay, he got 4. Whether you count the bubble or not, LeBron James officially has 4 rings and 4 finals MVP. I hate to say it, and it's the truth, and I really looked at it. And especially when it came from Michael Jordan's mouth. You know, Michael Jordan to say, I don't think nobody ever going to be better than me. But he told the truth. He said, you know, as time goes on, people going to go by who they saw play versus, you know, him. I don't think Michael Jordan will ever, fade out of the top 3 that ever played the game. It's just who's going to get put in there beside him. Because right now, when you think of, you know, the best that ever did it, it's Jordan, it's Kareem. But like I said, if LeBron becomes the all-time leading scorer, on top of having 4 league MVPs, 4 finals MVPs, once again, we got to have that discussion. Even though as well as he didn't have some collapse and playoffs and even finals, he managed to get it done 4 other occasions. So we'll see. Anyway, this your boy Town Biz. I'm out.